You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. It was 1 week ago, the Board of Regents of Texas Southern University in Houston, the nation's second largest HBCU, put their president, Dr. Austin Lane, on administrative leave. They wouldn't say why they put him on administrative leave. Now, a week later, after many folks, including members of the media, faculty, students, staff, and alumni of TSU have been asking and demanding answers, they decided to release this statement today explaining what took place. On behalf of the Texas Southern University Board of Regents, we want to provide our community with an update about our recent decision to place TSU President Dr. Austin A. Lane on paid administrative leave. We are sharing this information while remaining mindful and respectful of the ongoing investigatory process and for all of the parties involved. On January 10th, 2020, the Board of Regents met with the Chief Internal Auditor, independent counsel, and third-party investigators for approximately 7 hours. The Audit Committee made a public recommendation to the full board, and consistent with the Audit Committee's recommendation, in a 7-1 vote, 1 abstention, the Board of Regents placed Dr. Lane on paid administrative leave. In October of 2019, members of the Board of Regents informed Dr. Lane that members of the board, the Chief Internal Auditor, and external board counsel had been in contact with local law enforcement given the confirmation of the improprieties in the admissions process. One university employee involved in the admissions process has already been terminated. The Chief Internal Auditor, in collaboration with a third-party investigator, special board employment counsel, and/or external board counsel, interviewed the executive management, including Dr. Lane and others at our university. On 2 separate subsequent occasions, Dr. Lane was invited to meet with the Board of Regents at 2 special call meetings. Dr. Lane was then interviewed a second time by the Chief Internal Auditor and Special Board Employment Counsel. On January 10th, the board placed Dr. Lane on paid administrative leave and named Kenneth Hewitt acting president. As the investigation continues, we urge everyone in our TSU community to comply with the university policies and internal audit and litigation risk management protocols, and we will continue to cooperate with the independent investigations by law enforcement. As we said in November, the university's academic integrity, trust of students, faculty, alumni, and the public at large are of utmost importance. We thank the TSU community for its patience while we balance the competing interest of respect for ongoing internal investigations and external criminal investigations with the desire to provide additional context for our recent board action. The board is dedicated to ensuring all activities at the university are conducted in an ethical and balanced manner in accordance with the university's mission, vision, and values. That's their statement. Now, they need to explain this here. Henry, go to my iPad. This is a letter, folks, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board sent to Texas Southern University that is dated July 2nd, 2019. You will see in this letter, it says Dr. Paredes. Dr. Paredes, folks, is the Commissioner of Higher Education, Raymond Paredes. It says, this memorandum is to close a complaint regarding alleged inappropriate admission practices at Texas Southern University. The complaint alleged that Texas Southern University tried to increase enrollment by encouraging staff to admit all students, irrespective of whether the student met the university's admissions requirements. We work with Texas Southern University Office of Internal Audit and Assurance. Their confidential report found no wrongdoing regarding the university's admission practices during the fall 2017 and fall 2018 semesters. We plan no further work on this complaint. It is signed by Mark Pohl, Director of the Internal Audit and Compliance of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. It is CC'd to Hillary Eckford, State Auditor's Office, David Gardner, Bill Franz, and Linda Battles. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the Board of Regents with their decision? Here's what I understand in talking to sources at Texas Southern University. There was an individual who sent an email to the admissions director of the TSU, Thurgood Marshall Law School at TSU. This individual said do I need to put this on my admissions application? And if so, will that hurt me? The individual who you sent the email to said, no, do not put that on your application, because if you do, there's nothing that I can do for you. I was told that that person, that the dean of the law school found out about that when the dean saw that email, recommended that that employee be terminated. The dean of the law school communicated to the university president that that person should be terminated. The president agreed with that, and that person was terminated. Now, the Board of Regents at TSU has not properly explained what they're talking about when they say inappropriate activities in dealing with admissions. So pull their statement up, folks, from the beginning. So let me walk y'all through this and why these questions continue at Texas Southern University. Pull the statement up. Okay, you see here in this particular statement here, it says that on January 10th, the Board of Regents met with the Chief Internal Auditor, Independent Counsel, and third-party investigators for approximately 7 hours. Now, let me unpack this. What I am told is that the normal process is when there is an allegation of something happening in admissions, that it is the job of the internal auditor to then investigate exactly what took place. They say they met with them, but the question is, why is the Board of Regents meeting with the internal auditor about an allegation when it's not complete? Normally what happens, I'm told, is that the internal auditor then comes to the Board of Regents if there is something that is actionable. No one has said that's the case. The Board of Regents also said, go back to the statement, please. The Board of Regents says in here that the issue deals with, scroll up, please, vote 7-1, go to the next page. That the issue deals with improprieties in the admissions process. Now, there are 3 different levels of admissions at Texas Southern University. There's undergraduate, there's graduate, and there are the professional schools. The board has not specified where this issue took place. Is it in undergraduate admissions? Is it in graduate school? Is it among the professional schools? They haven't explained that. Go back to my iPad, Henry. No, go back to my iPad, not the statement. Come to my iPad. Now, again, if you look at this statement right here, a complaint was made to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. They are the people who oversee all higher ed in Texas. So you clearly see here that a complaint was made. Folks, if you actually call the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, if you call them right now, I'll give you the number. If you call 512-427-6101, you will hear them say that if you are a student and you want to make a complaint against a university, there is a process. Now, you hear in the letter, back to my iPad, so there was a complaint made. It says that the auditors for the Higher Education Coordinating Board work with the internal auditor at TSU, who does not report to the president, who reports to the board. Now, folks, this is what the Board of Regents needs to explain. I called the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to find out if the Board of Regents had notified them of this complaint regarding improprieties in admissions. I've yet to hear back from the Higher Education Coordinating Board. I also want to know what is the process. So I need the Board of Regents to explain to me how a complaint was alleged about improprieties and the allegation you work with the internal auditor, but is the Higher Education Coordinating Board, are their internal auditors working on this here? Back to the TSU statement, please. In the TSU board statement, they say that they are working with law enforcement agencies. Okay, I need somebody at TSU to explain to me on the Board of Regents, what law enforcement agencies are you working with? Are you working with the Texas Rangers? Are you working with the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, state troopers? Are you working with the Houston Police Department? Are you working with Harris County Sheriff's Office? Are you working with the Harris County District Attorney's Office? So when you hear this, we're working with law enforcement agencies, that raises more questions. So what is going on here? Are they saying someone was taking bribes? What's going on? Now, in their own statement, they state that the employee who was involved in this was fired. My sources say goes back to what happened in the law school. All right, the person was fired. That was in September. How is it that we're now in January and the board is involved in this? The Board of Regents is not an investigative body. Why are they involved in an internal audit? That's not their job. Normally, the internal auditor presents findings to the Board of Regents. No one has explained to me how the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, how are they not involved in this entire process? Lots of questions here that the TSU Board of Regents has to answer. Again, to take the step of putting, now also I'm told that the president of the university, Dr. Lane, has had no contact with law enforcement, these so-called law enforcement agencies. So the TSU, Texas Southern University Board of Regents, needs to explain what law enforcement agencies are you talking to? 2, why are you involved in an investigation that is supposed to be led by the internal auditor who then brings their findings to the Board of Regents? 3, why is the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board not involved in this investigation? And number 4, TSU Board of Regents, what took place that would cause you to go outside of your process and contact law enforcement agencies when, what I understand, in a normal process, if there were improprieties at Texas Southern University, the first thing they would do is contact the TSU Police Department. The TSU Police Department would then contact law enforcement authorities. I'm told none of that happened. So, Board of Regents, your statement you released today is simply not enough to explain to the general public why you would put President Dr. Austin Lane on administrative leave, giving the impression that clearly he has done wrongdoing, when even in your statement, you can't even articulate exactly why this audit committee chose to put him on administrative leave. I also need the board to explain to me how this letter was received in July of 2019, July 2nd, 2019, where they looked at, they did an audit of the admission practices in fall 2017 and fall 2018 and found no issues. Let's talk about with our panel here, Cleo Monago, he's political analyst and behavioral expert, Dr. Deonbe Carter, Howard University Department of Political Science, and Brooke Thomas is host of Controlling Our Narrative podcast. Dr. Carter, I want to go with you. This is extremely strange when you put a university president on administrative leave. First of all, a week ago, and you don't say why.
Right.
Then a week later, you put this statement out explaining why you did it. Why did they put this statement out a week ago as opposed to having a whole week of questions from people saying, what the hell is going on?
And I still find that statement very vague, actually. It's not a lot there because it's saying this is ongoing and it's this and it's that, but we still don't really know what happened. Is it a pay-for-play kind of thing? Are they saying that the president knew and somehow let all these things happen? Are they trying to avoid a USC type situation? We still don't actually know what's going on.
They also talk about admissions.
Exactly.
Again, that's it. There are three different admissions. So you need to specify.
Yes.
Is it undergraduate? Is it graduate school or is it professional school?
And also, there are people in charge of those offices that are not him. And I know, when you're the president or you're the head of something, it's always your fault. But there are other people who are actually responsible for that. The president doesn't actually oversee admissions. That's not his job.
The dean of the law school oversees the law school.
Absolutely.
And you have all those different people who are over. So yes, you're the president, but there's a reason why you have those things in place.
Absolutely. And so he's trusting his other professionals, right, to administer their units. I think that it still doesn't say why they would go so far as to put him on paid administrative leave. They haven't fired him. They're still paying him. They just removed him from his duties. And the truth is, most presidents have contracts. They're going to have to pay him anyway if they get rid of him. So it's still a lot of questions here about what exactly the nature of the allegations are.
Cleo, this is the nation's second largest HBCU. And you have a university president who, according to many faculty and staff and students, has been very good for the university, brought them national acclaim when they had the Democratic debate on their campus in September. We were there covering it as well. Giving to the university is up from alumni as well. Money is being raised here. And so when a board takes this action, you might want to explain further. And here's what's also interesting. This memo that I'm talking about, so, and again, they got to explain this to me. What they are saying is that this is an allegation. Go back to their statement, please. Go back to their statement, all right? No, their statement, the TSU statement. I want to explain the TSU statement because see, this is why you have to read statements very clearly, folks. Go to the Texas University Board statement. So in their statement, they say an ongoing investigatory process. That's what they say. Go to the next page, please. They lay out, it says, given the confirmation of the improprieties in the admissions process. One university employee involved in the admissions process has already been terminated. Okay. So you've confirmed impropriety. I just told you that there was an admissions officer in the law school who was involved in an email exchange, who the dean said, you're fired. The president agreed, you're fired. You've already confirmed. It was confirmed in September. So it was confirmed in September that the admissions person in the law school acted inappropriately. The dean recommended firing. President backed the dean up. Yet 6 months later, we're sitting here having a conversation about you confirming something that was confirmed in September.
Roland, all I can do is deduce because I don't know what's going on. But it's clear to me that whatever's going on, they don't want everybody to know at this point. HBCUs, and this may be relevant or not to their situation, often don't like their dirty laundry out in the world.
So that's any college.
Right, well, that's any college, but not all colleges are worried about funding as much as a lot of HBCUs are. So they're very concerned about how they look to their...
Especially an historically black college that's public with a Republican leadership in all the state government.
Yeah. So what's clear is that they want to be unclear.
Right.
And what's clear is they want to talk around something and imply that they're doing their due diligence, but they're not interested in putting it on blast right now. And I think they're just covering themselves because they're trying to prevent controversy because they don't want to interrupt something. And clearly, what they don't want to interrupt is the university's operations and possibly its fiscal state.
Right. And so, again here, Brooke, again, as somebody who is a reporter, as somebody who has seen these things before, somebody who is used to improprieties, frankly, from the TSU Board of Regents in the past, before the entire board was replaced by the governor because they were meddling in the affairs. We also have a board. Here where this particular Board of Regents had a complaint that was filed against them. One of the regents, 2 complaints filed by an employee of the university. They fired that employee last Friday. And so it's very interesting in terms of, how this board is operating in their actions.
In secret, it seems, right? I think everybody kind of has the same idea. That was a very long, worded statement that gave us no information. Thankfully, I think the university community should be pretty thankful to you because you broke it down much more than that statement did. And I imagine, there are a lot of people in the university's community that still want to know. And if it was important enough that the president should know, at least temporarily, I think that it's a responsibility to actually tell what's going on. There shouldn't be this many questions.
Right. But there are loads of questions here, and it simply doesn't make sense for any number of reasons. What is going on here? And the thing, Dr. Carter, why this is so important is because HBCUs, unlike, let's just be clear, predominantly white institutions.
Absolutely.
Okay. My alma mater, Texas A&M, when they had drama but back and forth between the president and the governor and the provost and the board of regents, and she eventually resigned, bottom line is folks still give. Yes, but right. When you have this at HBCUs, this has a direct impact on alumni and their relationship with university, where folks like, look, I don't know if I'm going to send you my check. I don't know what's going on here. And so these type of things can stump the growth or the forward progress of an HBCU.
Absolutely. I mean, we've gone through it at our university. I mean, lots of places have faced this. I mean, we talk about USC, but nothing has stopped at USC. I mean, people are happy to give millions of dollars to USC, but when it happens to a Texas Southern, then it's, oh, I can't trust these people. Right. And I think that's really dangerous because that money goes to so much. It's not going directly to these individuals. It's going to these children. It's going to the buildings. It's going to the deferred maintenance, the infrastructure of these spaces. And I think we have to stop being so short-sighted and thinking about this in the context of this is what black people do. This is what happens at universities. And I think if they were really concerned about keeping this kind of hush and thinking about long-term progress, they would have done this in the summer. They could have done it over spring break. They could have done it at a number of times. But at the beginning of the spring semester, when things are just ramping up again, and right now you have, convocations, charter days, and things like that coming, moments when you can raise money for an institution, to have this kind of happen in the beginning of all of this is really unfortunate for TSU. And I hope they sort it out, because this is also someone's professional career and their reputation on the line as well. And that's really all you have in this kind of business, particularly when you're in the upper echelons of university leadership, because there's just not a lot of people in that space. It's really rarefied air up there. And so I hope for the students and the faculty and administrators and others, staff on that campus, they figure it out sooner rather than later, because I think this is a lot of uncertainty hanging over that institution because we actually don't know what the allegations are and what's happening.
Also, just for our audience, again, we have done this, folks, for the last 3 days. We have emailed every single TSU board member asking them to come on and comment. The only two who have responded have been Board Regents Derek Mitchell as well as Ron Price. Ron Price is out of the country. Ron Price says he certainly will be welcome to talk with us when he gets back into the country. We have not heard from the board chair, from Albert Myers, from Derek, some of the other folks as well. And so we certainly welcome any of them to come on to Roland Martin Unfiltered to explain what's going on, because that statement still does not answer the questions that need to be answered about what's happening at Texas Southern University and Dr. Austin Lane. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.